Hello guys and welcome back. My name is Paul. This is Paul's Hockey Channel. So great to see you again. And today guys, we are starting on this channel a new series. NHL Power Rankings will be released every single Monday on this channel from now on guys. And I want to do it differently because I know you guys certainly don't want to hear me rambling about all 32 teams for almost half an hour. So I decided to do it differently, guys. I will be talking every single week about 5 teams that I think are interesting to talk about and to really just, look how they did and make some key points about them. So that will be basically the structure of these power rankings, and we are beginning today. Let's just jump right into it. So guys, I decided to begin the power rankings with my personal favorite team, the team that I am rooting for, and it is Minnesota Wild. Minnesota, they played 4 games this past week, pretty lot actually, and well, it has been, I would say as a Minnesota Wild fan, up and down week. Obviously it started pretty well on Monday. It was a very good victory, 3-1 over Colorado. So pretty good win there actually by Minnesota, but then came 2 losses, especially the loss against Utah at home on, I do believe it was Thursday. Well, that was very tough to watch. Very bad game from Minnesota. Obviously, they got back Kirill Kaprizov. Kaprizov is back. That's always the good news for Minnesota Wild fans, but also I think the fans of the NHL in general. Kirill Kaprizov was back in the game against Utah, but it was a very bad loss. 0-4, and then lost against Calgary as well on Hockey Day in Minnesota, very big venue in Minnesota on Saturday actually, but lost against Calgary 4-5. Again, Minnesota almost came back in that game, but it was pretty tough loss there. But the Wild have won on Sunday, this past day. They have won over Chicago 4-2. Matt Boldy with 3 points there. 2 wins, 2 losses, not too shabby, not too great as well, I would say. Especially that loss against Utah was pretty bad. But Minnesota, when we look at the standings, I'm pretty satisfied. 62 points for the Wild. They are number 3 team in the Central Division, but Colorado is getting closer and closer, so the Wild have to be cautious about that. They have a 62% point percentage, which is pretty good, honestly. Out of 50 games, they have won 29, lost 17, and 4 they have lost in overtime or shootout. So, the stats are pretty good for the Wild. I'm really satisfied as a Minnesota Wild fan. I think the start of the season has been great, has been really good. These past couple of weeks, obviously, the Wild have been battling with a lot of injuries. Kaprizov is finally back, so let's see if Minnesota can figure it out this next week. But overall, I would say kind of a mediocre, not very good week from Minnesota Wild. But again, I'm expecting better results as Jared Spurgeon is back. He scored against Chicago, and Kirill Kaprizov is back. Joel Eriksson playing. Zuccarello is back for a couple of weeks as well. So already. So I feel pretty good about Minnesota going forward, and I think they have a pretty nice cushion right now over the other teams that are chasing them. So I feel good about their chances. Definitely, I think they will get into the playoffs, but it all depends how well they will play in the playoffs. As we all know, Minnesota tends to go out in the first round, so hopefully they could make a deeper run this season. Let's go to the next team. Okay guys, moving on to this team right here. You can see it, Edmonton guys, the captain, Connor McDavid. He has been serving suspension this past week, but Edmonton, they are playing well even without him. They are playing well, almost seems like always. These past couple of weeks, they are on quite a roll right now. And honestly, I think Edmonton, for me right now, probably the biggest favorite to win the Stanley Cup. Leon Draisaitl, he's playing just amazingly well. Obviously, he has signed an extension for $14 million per year. He's playing, without a burden right now. It clearly looks like it. He's playing very well, even without McDavid. McDavid will return today on Monday against Seattle. Edmonton this past week, they have played 3 games. They have lost against Washington 2-3, but then they have won over Vancouver 6-2, pretty commanding victory right there. And on Saturday, it was a nice win 3-2 over the struggling Buffalo Sabres. So again, Edmonton, very good team, guys. No real concerns there. They're playing amazingly well. Connor McDavid will be back today. And well, that means that Edmonton will be playing probably even better with him in the lineup. So no real worries about Edmonton, guys. For sure, they will make it to the playoffs. Right now, they have 65 points. They are second in the Pacific Division, only 1 point behind Vegas Golden Knights. Point percentage, 66.3%. That's just amazing numbers. Out of 49 games played, they have 31 wins. Really like this team, guys. Really like their effort. They are just really good team. I think one of the biggest favorites to win the Stanley Cup for sure. Pretty good week for Edmonton again. 2 wins, 1 loss. I like their team. I like their play recently. I like everything about this team. So let's move on to team number 3. Okay, guys, so the team number 3 on my list to talk about in this week's power rankings are the Chicago Blackhawks. Well, guys, obviously we all know they have been struggling and they have made a trade, a blockbuster trade, guys. Unfortunately, Connor Bedard probably wasn't really happy about that one. Obviously, they sent Taylor Hall to Carolina and they retain 50%, I do believe, of Mikko Rantanen's salary, and they got for all of this only the 3rd round pick, which was eventually or originally their own. So they got it back, the 3rd round pick in the, I do believe, 2025 NHL draft. Well, Connor Bedard certainly isn't very happy about this trade. He lost Taylor Hall. He has said to reporters, that Taylor Hall was usually the guy he would talk to. He would ask some questions. Taylor Hall obviously is a former number 1 pick, same as Connor Bedard, and he has been helping the kid a lot. So Connor Bedard losing a good teammate there, and he didn't get anyone back for that. So definitely a frustrating week for Connor Bedard off the ice, but also for the Chicago Blackhawks on the ice. They have lost the 3 games. First, 3-4 against Carolina in OT. Then they lost on Friday, 3-4 again in OT against Tampa Bay Lightning. So at least they got 2 points out of those 2 games. And on Sunday, they lost 2-4 at home against Minnesota. So 3 losses for Chicago there. Again, the Blackhawks, they certainly won't make the playoffs. It wasn't even the goal to make the playoffs right now. Even for the next couple of weeks, playoffs will not be the goal right now. The goal for the Chicago Blackhawks is just to build a solid team around that core, around Connor Bedard. So let's see what the Chicago Blackhawks will do in the remaining part of the season. It's tough. They again lost Taylor Hall, didn't get anyone back for that, but it seems like the Chicago Blackhawks right now, they have a lot of cap space, so probably there will be buyers, or actually, they will try to get someone at that trade deadline, I expect, or just try to sign some good players in the offseason. I have seen some speculations if Mikko Rantanen will sign with the Blackhawks. They certainly can afford him a lot of money, but another question is if even Rantanen would want to go to this kind of team, to Chicago. But again, disappointing week for the Blackhawks. They lost all 3 games, but 2 of them they lost in overtime, so at least they got 2 points out of this week. Let's move on to team number 4. I know, guys, we have been talking so far only about the teams from the Western Conference. So right now we are moving on to the East. On the East Coast, New York Rangers, guys, they are back. I think they are back, honestly. Back at least in the fight for the last playoff spots, for the last wild cards in the Eastern Conference. Rangers, again, pretty good week for them. They played 4 games. They have won 2. They have lost in overtime once, and they lost to Colorado this Sunday. But let's start with the loss to Montreal Canadiens on the past Sunday. Loss obviously pretty tough, 5-4 in overtime, but then they won 5-0 against Ottawa Senators, a good win there, and they won also against Philly 6-1, and this past Sunday they have lost against the Colorado Avalanche 4-5. But overall they got They got 5 points out of the possible 8, so I think pretty encouraging week for the Rangers. They are moving up and up in the Eastern Conference, and they are trying to get back into that playoff race. Definitely, I think the Rangers are back Igor Shesterkin playing pretty well these past couple of games, and their top guys are back, producing pretty well as well. So the Rangers, they have 52 points right now when you look at the battle for that last wild card spot. Currently, they are just 3 points behind Tampa Bay Lightning. So pretty good runway there for the New York Rangers, just 3 points behind the Tampa Bay Lightning, behind the last wildcard spot. So I think definitely I see the Rangers as a playoff team. I think they will push, and I think eventually they will get into the playoffs and they will make a big comeback in this remaining part of the season. So let's move to the last team, guys, the fifth team that we'll discuss in today's video. Okay guys, and finishing this video with the best team in the NHL right now. So guys, who we'll be talking about? 1, 2, 3. Yes, you got that one right. Washington Capitals. Oh my Dave, what a team this is. Obviously, Alex Ovechkin just 20 goals away from catching, and not catching, but beating Wayne Gretzky and his record for most goals in the NHL history. But the Caps are playing well even without the goals of Alex Ovechkin. They are the first team in the NHL, 71 points in 49 games played. They have a point percentage of 72.4. Oh my Dave, what a team, guys. Who thought that the Capitals will be this good this season? I certainly didn't predict this, that they will be the first team in the NHL in the end of January. So they are just playing amazingly well this past week for the Capitals. Pretty good as well. They have played 3 games. They have won 2. They have won against the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. They won against Seattle as well 3-0. And then on a Saturday they lost against Vancouver 1-2. But again, Vancouver Canucks, they seem to be winning only on Saturdays. So we can probably, just say, okay, let Capitals lose that one, because Saturday is the day of Vancouver Canucks, it seems like. They have won the past, month or 5 weeks? Again, they are winning, it seems like almost exclusively on Saturday. So the Washington Capitals losing on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks, but it has been another good week for Washington Capitals. They got 4 points out of the 6 possible. They beat Edmonton, they beat Seattle. They are just a good team, playing very, very well. So like it, Washington Capitals very much. I like their play, and let's see if Alex Ovechkin can beat the record of Wayne Gretzky already this season. He's certainly on a good trajectory to do that. So guys, this has been the NHL Power Rankings for my channel, for Paul's Hockey Channel. We have discussed the 5 teams that I wanted to discuss, 5 interesting teams. We'll do this again, and we will see each other again next week on Monday with the new edition of NHL Power Rankings. We do it differently, guys, but it's, I mean, different is good, right? Everybody doesn't need to necessarily do all 32 teams again. We would be here for half an hour, and I'm certain, guys, you don't want to hear me talking about NHL for half an hour without stop. So let's talk about these 5 teams, guys. Tell me in the comments how your team did this past week, and if you haven't subscribed, guys, please consider to subscribe. I would really appreciate it, as we are currently just over 800 subscribers away from reaching our goal, our milestone from reaching 1,000 subscribers. Well, we have reached the end of the video, and that means only one thing. Dave, it's your turn. It's all yours. Come on, Dave.
This video was brought to you by Paul's Hockey Channel, your trusted source of NHL news. Subscribe and turn on notifications bell in order not to miss future uploads. Enjoy the content and stay safe.